Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. This is theblackfinancialchannel.com. I woke up this morning, and you guys know when I have a thought in the morning, I got to share it. And here's what was thinking about. I was processing some things about education, and as you all know, Black people have the most education out of anybody. We're super smart. Our Black women are really getting a lot of education, and I think that's great. But I had this idea, and I'm actually going to explain it to Alicia, which will allow me to also explain it to you. Good morning, Alicia.
Hey, good morning, boys. I am so curious about what's on your mind.
Okay, so I went to sleep, and this idea was like it was just implanted in my brain. I'm always thinking about different ways that Black wealth can be built, and how Black families can actually be better off in the next generation. Like this is my obsession.
Okay.
As scholars, when we get obsessed about something, we tend to do deep dives.
Eat, sleep, drink, our obsessions. Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, besides eat, sleeping, and drinking my love for you, I also
Oh,
eat, sleep, and drink my love for the Black community.
okay. Oh, that's so sweet. So sweet.
Got to
Mm-hmm.
schmooze her up in the morning. So anyway, hello everybody. I should say hello real quick to Apollonia and Kiva and Lady Jasmine Davis, Shirley Carter, Latina, and Big Boy Grit. Big Boy Grit. That's a great name.
I love it. Yeah.
It makes you think about Big Crit. Anyway, okay, let me get ready.
Craig. Okay. Go
No,
ahead.
Big Craig, not Big Craig,
Oh,
not
Big
Craig.
Craig. Okay.
Craig, well, yeah, Craig and your Big Worm from
Big
Friday.
worm. Yeah.
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 Shout out to the homie Ice Cube who was on this channel two or three times. Love Ice Cube, good Black man. All right, so anyway, let's jump in here and let's make this happen. Here's what I figured out. Right. Okay. So I figured out how you can actually give your child a master's degree. Like you can literally give them a master's degree without them even going to college. What do you think?
Okay. Say more.
Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
here's my explanation. Hear me out here. I've never explained this to another human being. This came to my brain this morning, so I'm probably going to explain it inefficiently, but I'm going to do my best. So if you think about it, right, a lot of us grew up without any inheritance or any wealth at all. How many of you like never got any, like didn't have anybody leave you anything? Like nobody ever left you a house when you got 18. Nobody had stocks and bonds for you. Not to disrespect our parents, because sometimes they just didn't know. But how many of you went through that, right, where you had literally no assets? Like you got to college like me, broke as hell, broke AF. Were you broke when you got to college?
I had everything I needed
But you had everything
and
you
a lot
wanted.
of what I wanted. Not everything I wanted, but a
Mm.
lot of what I wanted.
Yeah, but not like enough to go buy a house or something or
Oh,
start a
oh,
ten
come
thousand dollar
on.
business, right? Right. Yeah. So a lot of us like we're used to starting off broke. We usually start off broke, and it doesn't have to be this way, right? So here's what I was thinking about, right? Why do we go to college? Why do we get education? Why do millions of us as Black people have all these student loans? Right, lot of us educated hoity-toity Negroes got student loans out the butt. Well, it's because we're trying to do what? Increase our income, among other things.
Yeah, I mean, there's a social aspect too to go to college. Like, you get to know who you are. You have to have a roommate probably for the first time that's not in your household.
Mm,
You got to learn how to get along with people. They have programming. You can join fraternities, sororities. You can develop yourself as a leader. So there's
hmm.
many opportunities on college campuses that's not just academic,
Right.
you know?
Right. So okay, so college has a lot of value that's non-financial. But I'm gonna tell you, I went to college because I was broke. I had a baby and I was broke. And I didn't I was a young Black man and I was broke. And here's the thing, right? While I think that there are a lot of extra benefits of going to college, I mean, you and I know this. We've both been college professors for a long time.
Hmm.
There's some people who just go to college just to make more money. But they're like, okay, I need to make more money, so I'm gonna give me a college degree. I need to make more money, so I'm gonna give me a master's degree, right?
Mm.
You
So,
know,
what about following your passion?
I think following your passion is something that you don't need college necessarily to do all the time.
Well, what if
What?
you
What if?
say it's my dream to be a school teacher?
Right,
There's no other way to do it but to go to college,
right.
right?
Now, in that particular case, absolutely, right.
Okay.
Now, if your dream is just to be a teacher, there's a lot of online teachers who don't even have college degrees who make plenty of money teaching online. You know,
Okay, but let's
but
not make that simple. Like,
it's not like being a
it's
school.
hard
It's not
to
like
like
being. Sure.
it's hard to build up your, following. It's really difficult for people to get started. But yes, I hear what you're saying. You
Yes.
don't need
Okay.
to go to college for everything. Go ahead.
And
Okay.
so okay, so
Mhm.
here's the okay, so basically what I realized is I said, the reason that you go to college, there's a concept called human capital. The
Mhm.
reason you go to college and get master's degrees and all that to make more money is because you're building up something called human capital. Capital is something that typically is used to make money or make some or create resources. It's not that simple. It's not just money. Capital can be used to create anything that's of value besides money. But let's just assume capital is something you use to make money, right? Like now I have a master's degree. Now I can go get an income, right? So now I'm
Mm.
making $50,000 a year because I have this thing called human capital. I have to work the capital. Just the same way, like if you have a patch of land during slavery, you needed slaves
Mm.
to work the land. Land by itself wasn't going to generate income, but if you work the land, like you plant
Mhm.
tobacco, and your slaves plant it and do the work, then you can make money from that tobacco. So your capital generates income. That's the point. So everybody type the words, type this phrase: capital generates income. Capital generates income. That's very important. So the reason that you go get that master's degree for a lot of us is because that we have no other capital. We have no stocks. We have no real estate. We have no business that we own. We have nothing. I had nothing. I went to get a master's degree because I said I want to make some money. And in order to make money, I was like, okay, education is the only way for me to make money. So I'm going to go to school so I can make money. You know, everybody, give me a yes or no if you follow the conversation up to this point. If you follow what I'm saying here, capital generates income.
Mhm.
The reason that we get educated is so we can create human capital,
Mhm.
which will generate income for us. So we teach each other, like, look, if you don't get an education, you're not going to make any money. The average
Mhm.
college graduate makes more money than the average high school graduate. The average master's degree graduate makes more money than the average college graduate on
Mhm.
average, right? Across the
Mhm.
board. Okay. So that, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not disputing that. And the way you build that capital up is through this thing called sweat equity. Sweat equity is a replacement for actual equity. It's when you say, like you start a business with a friend and you have no money, you say, well, I'll come work for you for free. Or I'll come and I'll put time in, and you get a percentage ownership of the business because you put in the sweat, the hard work, right? So basically, we build our human capital, which is like that master's degree or whatever, through sweat equity. And we do all that because we have no capital and we have no equity
Mhm.
otherwise, right? So our labor becomes our source of equity and capital. Okay, got it? Give me a yes or no in the chat if you follow what I'm saying. I really want to make sure I explain this in a way, because this is transformative for you. This is, if you teach this to your kids, I guarantee your kids will have a very good shot at becoming millionaires. I kid you not. So, so given that we know that the sweat equity creates human capital, which therefore allows us to make more money, well, then the question becomes, is there a better way, right? So that child is 25 years old.
Mhm.
They're getting a master's degree because they're using sweat equity to build human capital because they never had any equity, never had any capital. If you could rewind the clock and build a time machine and go back to when that child was a baby, how could you fix that process and make it more efficient for the child? Because remember, student loan debt by itself is a tragedy for a lot of black college graduates. Half of all black college graduates never repay their student loans. So literally, it's like, I mean, you literally are driving your car on flat tires at that point. Like it's like it's like getting a new Mercedes and somebody like busts a hole in the hood and the engine as soon as you get it. So student loan debt alone is crazy. The amount of time you have to spend in school. Some people don't really want to go to school, 6, 7 years to get started with their career. They'd like to rather maybe go start a business or something. I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm not saying education's bad. I'm saying that a lot of people, when they think back to college, they're like, I went to this university with a bunch of racist white people. Who the professors didn't even hire. They had no black professors. I went to college for. Do you know I went to college till I was 31, and I
Mhm.
never had a black professor, not one time.
Not even. Did you take an African American Studies course? Because you get them in that class.
Yeah, that's the ghetto. That's what they call the academic ghetto. That's where they put all the black professors at. They're like, oh, you're black. You should be over in the black section.
Uh huh.
so
Okay.
so I didn't, to me, I was a hustler. I wanted to make some bread. I didn't want to be broke. So I went to college so I didn't have to be broke. So here's the point. So your kid's 25 years old. They're spending years in school trying to build human capital through sweat equity, this thing called education, because they have no capital, they have no equity. So if you could rewind the clock, what would you change? Well, you would give them capital and you would give them equity. How do you do that? Well, you grow capital the same way you grow flowers in your backyard, the same way you grow crops, the same way you grow a tree. You plant the seed and you let it grow. A lot of people don't know that many of the equations that are used to show how money grows actually come from biology. Money literally grows like a plant, it grows like a baby. And the thing is, you got to raise that baby. You got to plant the seed for that baby. Baby can't
Mhm.
exist without a seed, right? So if you start fertilizing the seeds for your child when they're young, this is the kicker here. Pay attention, y'all. Okay, let me know you're listening. If you start planting the seeds for that child when they're young, or even if you're really visionary, even before they're born, then that child can have a massive harvest by the time they're 25 years old. I have the $5 a day investing plan, which, by the way, it's at the allblackagenda.com. I'm going to put the URL on the screen if you guys want to go take a look at it. The $5 a day investing plan literally shows you exactly, it is totally free. You can get it for free. I'm trying to pull up the URL, put it on the screen. The $5 a day investing plan literally shows something that people find unbelievable when they first see it, which is that if you invest something like $5 a day for your kid when they're young, then by the time that child is like 20 years old, that kid has like over $100,000 in liquid assets. Actually, between 100 and 150,000 by the time they're 25. If you wait till they're 30 to get them the money, then they'll have $250 million, and that's $5 a day. That's if you do the bare minimum. If you do $10 a day, the money doubles. So instead of your child having $250,000, they have maybe 500,000, two or three, $400,000. And what's interesting is that if you give your child education, economic, here you go. There's the URL. You can take a look at the plan. It's totally free. I want the whole community to see this. Um, but here's the thing. So think about this. If your child has education as well, like if you train them on economics early, just basic stuff like how to start a business by the age of 12, you can teach them the basics in like a morning. I swear to God, literally in a morning, you could show your child the steps to forming an LLC, like from between 9 a.m. and before lunch.
Okay, so what should they be doing instead? Instead of going to college,
No,
or necessarily instead of
mhm.
getting a master's degree, like what are you saying specifically?
What I'm saying specifically is to give your kid options. The reason I went to school was because I had no options. I wanted to make more money, but I didn't know how. I didn't have any options. Believe me, if somebody gave me options, like said, "Here, son, here's $400,000 in a liquid account that we've been seeding for you since you were a baby."
Wait, hold on, hold on. You are 18 years old and someone gives you $400,000. Okay. Like,
Excellent point.
what are you doing with that
Oh, oh,
voice?
oh! I would have blew it. I would have blew that money like a rapper.
Right.
I'd have been Young Jeezy up in that mug. I'd have been iced out. Yeah, you're right. I agree. Don't give
Okay.
everybody. Don't give an 18-year-old two, three, $400,000.
Like, you got to give us a little more
Well,
here.
what I would do is actually, if I'm the parent, I put it in a trust, and if you have it in a trust, then you can control how the money's distributed. So you can say, "Son, I set you up with a trust, and this trust is going to earn interest, and every year this trust is going to pay you $70,000 a year." And it'll be an income supplement so that in case you lose your job, you're good. If you want to start a business, you're good. If you decide you just don't want to work and you want to pursue your passion, your truest passion,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're good, right? So either way, like that, and this is something that can be created from the time the
Mm.
child is born to the time they become an adult.
So, what would you have done? I mean, what would you have done? Seriously.
If I didn't go to college,
If you didn't go to college and you had $400,000, and let's just say you didn't waste the money. Like, what are
mm,
you proposing people do with that?
I would have got an education.
So
It
you just would have gotten an
Yeah, I
education.
would have got an education because education and college are not necessarily one and the same. You don't need to go to college to get an education.
Okay, hold on. I mean, okay, so you're talking about right now, because back in the 90s, how else are you going to be able to understand how to learn and how to think? And people push you and you write papers and they give you feedback on the papers and they say, this is wrong, this is right. And then you stay up all night and you're studying and you're working
Mhm.
because there's a deadline. And it's structure, the universities structure it in a 16-week course of a semester. You have people tell you, people are experts and they tell you these things. Like, how could you have done that back in the 90s?
Well, here's the thing. Um, I agree. You have to go to college to get a college experience. most of the time.
Okay.
So I'm not doubting that at all. And I'm not doubting or undermining on any level the value of the college experience.
Okay.
We're both college professors. We know what college can do for you. I'm talking about all those people that are like, man, if I could have done it a better way, I wouldn't even done any of that.
I see.
Oh, that's what I'm,
Okay.
or maybe talking about those people that say, man, undergrad was cool, but I really didn't need to borrow another 30,000 to get an MBA.
Oh, it's coming out with the day. Yeah, things have gotten bad. Because back when I was in school and I went to a state school, I graduated. I didn't have a lot of debt at all. Like it wasn't very expensive to go to college. Now it's just ridiculous.
Well, the
The
thing about
expense
it,
is just
the
ridiculous.
thing about it is, it's not even just expensive in terms of money. It's expensive in terms of time. These are years of your life. Years of your life. So when I go back and I think about, the 90s when I was in school, and I
Uh-huh.
was in school till I was 31, I missed all my 20s to go to school, right?
Okay.
So, what are some other things I could have done in my 20s? I don't know. I was a hardworking man. Maybe I could have joined a
Mm,
really great, what would have made me happy back then? In the 90s when the internet was first taking off,
yeah.
I would have loved to have gone into an intensive program that taught me computer programming.
But they
So
had that at universities.
right, they did, but they also had it off campus too. You're
Oh,
right. So
okay.
what I'm saying is not so much to say universities are bad and evil. I'm saying they are overpriced, right?
Way overpriced.
Right, but
Yeah.
I don't think that they're bad. I think college is a lot of fun, but some people don't want to do that. Some people don't want to dedicate 100% of their time
Yeah.
just to going to school.
Yeah, you're right because like I see people who never went to college and they're doing like some awesome things. They're very smart, really intelligent. It's like you don't have to go through college. They do great things, start businesses, do wonderful things. I mean, you give me examples all the time. So you're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
like it's like if you're going to college, like I was, mainly so you can make more money.
Yeah.
I think you're always better off when you have more options.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
actually when we study options, like stock option theory, the first thing they teach you is that options always have a non-negative value, meaning that anytime somebody gives you an extra option, you are better off than you are without that option, even if you don't use it. Like if you
Mhm.
give me the option to go and jump out the window, then obviously I'm not going to go jump out the window, right? But I'm not any worse off just because you said, "Hey, boys, by the way, if you need to jump out the window, you can."
Right.
Right? And the thing about options is the value of an option. And by the way, there's a URL to my stock options masterclass if you want to learn more about options. But the thing about an option is that the value of an option changes based on the situation you're in. So you might tell me, "Hey,
Mm.
boys, you got the option to jump out the window. And how much is that worth to you?" And I would say nothing. I'm not going to jump out the window. But what if there's a fire? Well, then if there's a fire and conditions change, then that option suddenly becomes very valuable.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
I got to get out that fire. So that's why with stocks, like a lot of people that buy stock options know that. They know that as the market changes, the value of your option changes based on the conditions of the market. So the point is, we've always known what options are our whole life. We
Mhm.
know what it feels like to have options and not have options. Also, options are the sibling of freedom,
Mhm.
right? That's
Mhm.
what it's the same thing. All freedom is having more options. And what do black people talk about more than anybody? Is freedom. We want freedom, freedom, freedom. They talk about freedom, they don't even know what freedom is.
Yeah, that's really true, and it's sad to see some parents that didn't set their children up properly, and sometimes I see them, and it's almost like they want their child to get this scholarship based on sports to help pay for college.
Yeah,
They just leaning on, "I gotta send you to basketball camp because I want you to get that basketball scholarship, and I want you to get the football scholarship." It's almost like I've seen a lot of parents in universities really push their child, to college in a way that that they're going to be a student athlete.
yeah. I saw a poor kid who was
It's awful.
I saw a kid who was playing for the University of Kentucky, which isn't exactly a mecca for college football. But he was convinced that he's going to the NFL, like all the other players that I met when I was at the University of Kentucky. And I remember laughing. Even at 19, I was like, "So you're playing at the University of Kentucky, and you think you're going to the NFL? You guys do know you're last in the SEC, right? You haven't won an SEC game in 2 years. You think you can really beat out the guys from Alabama to get to
Oh,
the right? Even most of the guys at Alabama
don't make it
aren't going to
right.
the NFL. You really think like somebody
Yeah,
really gassed you up mentally
yeah.
enough to where your only hope, to get your family out of a better situation is to go to the NFL.
Well, at least you get a college degree for free though.
Yeah,
But
oh
you
yeah.
work for it. Like student athletes, something should be done with that. I think they do a little too much. like student, athlete. Student should be first. Athlete should be second. I
Well,
kind of feel like universities are like athlete then student.
well, that's a whole nother. I mean, that's
That is
definitely,
another
yeah,
topic.
that's another
But
conversation.
anyway,
But you're right. I mean, it's all about the money. I mean, that's capitalism at its
there you
finest.
go. They're using you.
Yeah, they are using you, and they're
Yeah.
using black people in particular. There are a lot of schools like USC and others that don't even hire black professors hardly. They won't tenure them or anything like that. But they'll bring in black people to play sports, and that's
Oh,
it. They're like the hired help. So anyway, my point is to say. So let me go ahead
okay.
and summarize. Some of
I'm
this.
sorry. Yeah.
No, it's
Mhm.
okay. It's okay. There's so many other things to talk about, but I want to just summarize it for everybody who is listening. Basically, the premise of this argument, and this is a simple idea, but this is something that came to me last night, is that the reason you go to school, the reason you get that master's degree, is because you're using sweat equity to build human capital. The
Mhm.
more the more human capital you have, the more income you can make. The human capital, that's what they call a capital base. So basically, you can give your child a capital base which can actually replace the human capital if they choose to do so. So if you start planting seeds for your child when they're young, like if a parent simply does something like, I'm going to invest $10 a day, which is $70 a week, or I guess about $300 a month,
Mhm.
which is less than a car note for a lot of people. A lot of black folks out here spend more on their car note than that, right? So
Mhm.
you give more money to the automobile manufacturer than you give to your own children, which is kind of right there. That's a value issue, right? Um, if you do that consistently, but then by the time your child is in their 20s or definitely early 30s, late 20s, they've got hundreds of thousands of dollars in liquid assets available. That's a power play, because what that does is that doesn't just give them money. The money is really the tiny part of this.
Mhm.
It gives them options, which
Mhm.
creates happiness. Studies show that the fewer options you have, the more constrained you are, the more depressed you are. Actually, they did a study with lab rats that showed when lab rats don't have options, they get sad. So a lot of black folks don't have options, so they're very sad. They talk about freedom, but they
Yeah.
feel enslaved every day. You think, I mean, freedom means doing what you want to do. Well, every day you get up, you can't do what you want to do. You got to do what that white man tells you to do because you need him in order for you to provide for yourself. Well, if your child has a capital base, then they're free. They can do what they want. They can
Mhm.
pursue their passion. They can pursue their rap career or whatever. If that
Mhm.
makes them
Mhm.
happy, they can do whatever they want because they've got an asset base. And then if you teach them how to manage that base and how to protect that on top of that and how to grow it, then they really got a shot to really play the game of high level economics. They can play above the rim for a change as opposed to us being scrubs trying to get off the bench.
Yeah, I really like that. That's really good, boys. And I think the saddest, let me tell you, the saddest scenario is when you find someone who goes to college for 3 years, they rack up debt, and then they drop out. You don't even have a piece of paper.
Oh, that happens a
I think
lot.
that's the saddest part. Like if you're gonna do it and go to college, at least leave the university with the degree.
Yeah.
I think that's the most tragic thing ever.
Yeah. Well, that's horrible. I mean, yeah, I know a lot of people who barely started college who
Just why
somehow.
go? You shouldn't even go because at least then you don't have the debt.
Well, a lot of people are told that's the only pathway to success, and they do it because people tell them to do it, and they're
Yeah,
not
but if you're gonna
mentally
do it
prepared.
and you get to your junior year, your third year in college, I mean, you at that point just finish,
Well, what
finish.
happens a lot of times is life happens, and somebody gets pregnant, and they're like, okay, I'm going to take off from school. They never, when people leave college, they never say, I'm never coming back. They rarely say that. They usually say, I'm coming back next semester, or I'll be back next year.
And it just time goes by and they don't finish it.
Yeah, then you get old, and you
Yeah.
can't repeat. You can't
Well,
go back and
they
repeat
do
yourself.
have degree completion programs. Like at my institution, we have a degree completion program for people who almost graduated and didn't. So universities are starting to wise up about that. But seriously, that's a good point, boys. Good point,
Yeah,
Steve.
well, I'll say this. I think I personally, if I could do it over again, I wouldn't get a formal college degree. I would probably go to an intense at that time based on what I wanted when I was a kid. I wanted money and power. So if you were like if I could be mentored by a millionaire or something, let's say a millionaire was like, look, I got a program. I'll show you how to make money like me. I would
Oh,
sign up for that. That's
okay.
what I would want to do. Yeah, and then let's cut to the chase. Let's get to the bread. I ain't got time to be.
Well,
I go ahead.
right now we have that option.
We
Like,
do, we do, and even
yeah.
even then, I'm sure some of them existed. But you're right, things have changed.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I think about that time when I was a sophomore and I was sitting in this class where it was an anthropology class, And I was spending all this time learning about Irish peasants in the 19th century. What in the hell does that information do for me as a black man? Literally. Do you know what I learned in that class?
Okay, what?
I learned that the Irish peasants in the 19th century used to drink a drink called Boney Clabber. Do you know what Boney
Wait.
Clabber is?
It's from, we heard it on Peaky Blinders, that show we watched.
Yes.
They talked about it there.
Yeah, Boney
Mhm.
Clabber is it's where you take some milk and you put it on your porch and you let it curdle and spoil. And then you mix it with cow's blood.
You know what? See, you just used that information.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you interested in a cocktail party in case you have to go.
Right. And I don't go to many cocktail parties. I ain't trying to go to nobody's cocktail party. This is the closest you're gonna get from me. I ain't got time to waste. So the point of this conversation is to basically say that that there are many ways to skin the economic cat. And a lot of us have been raised to believe that getting that extra degree or whatever is the only way to do it. The challenge with that is that when we're getting these degrees from big white universities, that is a wealth transfer. We are transferring wealth out of the black community into the hands of white folks, many of whom don't even care about us as black people. And we're going deep in debt like sharecroppers, can't repay that debt. And next thing you know, your black family wealth has been zapped. So, and I'm not saying don't go to college. I'm not saying don't get master's degrees. I'm not saying that you were silly for doing that. I'm saying that when it comes to your kid, give your child options, right? So invest consistently for that child at an early age so that that child has a capital base so they don't have to go out and use sweat equity to build human capital. They've actually got real capital already. And then if they choose to go to school on top of that, then that's even better. They can go to school without the debt. They can buy their first home, which allows them to get on the pathway to building wealth. They can start investing in the stock market, and then they can also start their business that's going to create millions of dollars in generational wealth for your family over the next several generations. So don't play checkers, play chess. That's how you win this game. All right. So by the way, there's my Clubhouse information. You can follow me on Clubhouse at Dr. Boyce Watkins, and also I'm actually on Twitch. I'm a gamer, and I started gaming just because I wanted to see what young people were up to, connect with my kids and stuff like that. So if you're into that kind of thing, you want to hear, you want to talk about stocks while we're, playing Call of Duty, stuff like that, you can follow me on Twitch at Dr. Boyce Watkins also. So have a good day, everybody. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, a great idea, Boyce, this morning. I'm glad you shared it with me.
Well, thank you for letting me share. Thank you for joining me.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Okay. All right, everybody. Please hit the thumbs up button, share button, subscribe button on your way out the door if you could. I would appreciate that very much. Oh, and some of you asked about this. Our Black Business School for Children, if you want to give your kids wealth knowledge, feel free to go to blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. There's actually a specialist right there waiting on the line to talk to you about it, talk you through the program and all the benefits. So feel free to go to blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com if that's of interest to you. So take care. Have a good day. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.